you can move from an insecure to a secure attachment style. And according to new research, you can do this in just 5 steps. Now, I always like to work with an example, so let's look at John, who's battled with the lasting effects of parental abuse and neglect since childhood. His father struggled with alcohol addiction, often becoming violent. His mother was emotionally distant and unable to provide the care and support John needed. Fast forward to adulthood, and the scars of John's traumatic upbringing continue to haunt him. Despite his best efforts, he finds himself grappling with crippling self-doubt and profound mistrust of others. The wounds inflicted during his childhood have left him emotionally guarded and hesitant for meaningful connections. John has an insecure attachment style. Now, there are 4 attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganised. There are 3 insecure attachment styles and only 1 secure attachment style. If you have a secure attachment style, you have positive thoughts about yourself and others, you express emotions openly and seek support from others when needed. In contrast, if you have an insecure attachment style, you might fear abandonment and need constant validation. You might have difficulty trusting others and push people away. Or you might put up walls to protect yourself as you don't trust others. Now, I have an in-depth video on attachment theory, and I've added a link in the description below this video. So there's a fascinating research study that details how to move towards a secure attachment style. The study suggests that healthy, nurturing relationships later on in life can actually reshape your early attachment wounds. So this provides the possibility of transitioning from an insecure attachment style to what experts call an earned secure attachment style. Now, I've added a link to the research study in the description below this video, and I'm now going to show you the 5 steps that enable you to move towards an earned secure attachment style. Step 1. Being intentional about attachment-focused change. This means that meaningful change doesn't happen by chance. It requires deliberate effort, initiative, and perseverance. It entails moving away from old patterns and embracing a determined commitment to a new way of being. For example, John joined a support group, started counselling, and practiced secure attachment behaviours when interacting with others. He displayed clear communication and experimented with emotional expression. Whatever you decide to do, it's about being intentional about change and realising that movement doesn't just happen. You have to be deliberate in your efforts. Now, the journey is unique to each survivor and differs greatly from one person to another. The journey can be challenging, marked by moments of progress and setbacks, unexpected detours, and miraculous breakthroughs. And it's important to recognise that progress is often characterised by a series of small victories rather than monumental leaps. Step 2. Having surrogate attachment figures. If you're going to move towards an earned secure attachment style, you need to observe what secure attachments actually look like. So this means observing people who are securely attached. This may be an early parent figure, such as a teacher or lecturer, who provided a sense of safety. Or it could be your partner, a work colleague, or a friend. Regardless of the specific role, surrogate attachment relationships model the characteristics and dynamics of secure attachment in practice. Now, if you're like John and you don't have a partner or friends, you could look out for securely attached characters in books, TV shows, or films. And when you identify a securely attached person, you might ask yourself, how do they interact with others? What behaviours do they exhibit? For instance, you might notice that securely attached people are generally comfortable with closeness and intimacy, freely expressing their emotions and seeking support when needed. You may also observe that securely attached people communicate their needs and feelings clearly and respectfully without being consumed by fears of abandonment or betrayal. Step 3. redefining your identity and worth. This step is about facilitating an internal cognitive shift and redefining your identity and self-worth. For example, John always saw himself as a trauma victim. He identified as a victim because he perceived himself as being at the mercy of his past, powerless, vulnerable and passive. Now, his counsellor highlighted John's tremendous resilience and inner strength that had carried him through his darkest moments. In light of this, she challenged him to relinquish the victim narrative and embrace the mindset of being a trauma survivor. The term survivor conveys strength, resilience and agency. By identifying as a trauma survivor, you acknowledge the adversity you've faced, but reclaim control over your narrative. And remember, you can reclaim your identity not as a victim or a survivor, but as a person that has value and deserves respect. Step 4. Family of origin work. The next step involves revisiting your perception of your parents or caregivers with clarity and truth. For example, during therapy, John acknowledged the pain, abuse and neglect experienced at the hands of his parents. However, this time he gained a deeper understanding of his mother's perspective. He recognised that she too was a trauma survivor. Her emotional unavailability and neglect stemmed from her own trauma as she struggled to survive the abuse inflicted by her husband. Through the process of forgiveness, John gradually released the resentment and anger he harboured towards his mother. He acknowledged the pain she had caused him, but it chose to relinquish the hold it had over him. Through therapy and self-reflection, John gained clarity on the destructive patterns of abuse and manipulation perpetuated by his father. He acknowledged the detrimental impact that his father's behaviour had on his mental, emotional and physical health, as well as on his overall quality of life. He decided that the only way to move on was to cut off contact from his father. He believed that this would protect him from further abuse. And I want to stress that I'm certainly not suggesting that you forgive your abuser or cut off contact altogether. Everyone's journey is unique. Step 5. Reaching outward. After engaging in family of origin work, it's crucial to extend your efforts outward. This step involves paying forward the security you've cultivated and becoming a stabilising presence in someone else's life. For example, John signed up to be a work mentor for younger colleagues, recognising the challenges and uncertainties that often accompany the early stages of one's career. He felt compelled to offer guidance, support and encouragement to his less experienced co-workers. In addition to imparting practical knowledge and skills, he fostered a supportive and nurturing environment where his mentees felt empowered to take on new challenges, overcome obstacles and reach their full potential. So the 5 distinct steps move you towards an earned, secure attachment style. And while they're not specifically designed as steps to work through trauma, you can see there is significant overlap. Now, as you progress through the steps, you may find yourself simultaneously addressing and processing trauma, so it's always important to work alongside a good psychological therapist. Now, if you'd like to take what you've learned to the next level, click on my video on the screen now, and I look forward to seeing you soon.